Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the studentloanjustice.org live stream for Monday, June 13th. Juneteenth, is that what they call it? Hope everybody is doing well out there in the world. Couple of announcements. First thing, we're kind of kicking around the idea of doing a mass online student loan destruction thing for July 4th. So I think that's pretty self-explanatory. I don't know. The idea is everybody makes a video of themselves destroying their student loans. Maybe you burn it, maybe you shoot it up like firework, maybe you take it to a gun range and shoot it, maybe you roll over it with a steamroller. I don't know, just fun ways to destroy your student loans. Make a very short video, like ideally 30 seconds or less, and we will compile them and put them out all over the place. That's the idea. So let me know what you think. If you're watching this on Facebook or Twitter live, by all means, throw out a question or comment. And if I can see them, I will definitely respond to them. Second announcement, we're selling hats, guys. We never do merchandising stuff, but Lisa designed some really cool distressed hats. They're like ripped and torn, like out of the box, and they're student loan justice hats. And I think they're cool. There's certainly a limited edition. I would say they're collector's items. Get a hat. It'll be fun. They're pretty spendy, I will add. It's a fundraiser thing. So you're going to pay a little more for this hat than you would any other hat. That's kind of how that goes. But if you want one, go to bit.ly/cool SLJ hat, and you can see the hat for yourself. We've sold 10 already, so that's good. And so, you know, guys, we're not a huge, and for those, particularly those of you who are new to the group, we're not a big money-making enterprise here, just so you know. I try and never ask for donations, although I have to sometimes. But we're not like, we're not that. We are a true grassroots, as grassroots gets, organization. We are funded by tiny donations from distressed student loan borrowers, which is usually not even quite enough to keep us without a utility bill in arrears many months. So anyways, get a hat if you believe in what we're doing. What we are doing is pretty incredible, by the way. It was because of this group that we have a bankruptcy bill to fight for right now in the Senate, S-2598. It's the most important thing we're fighting for. We're also fighting now here today for student loan cancellation as of March 2020 and even before. And I'm, again, very thrilled to tell you that while we were a voice in the wilderness calling for student loan cancellation by executive order for many, many months, Elizabeth Warren and Chuck Schumer have embraced the concept. They sort of wrecked it, but whatever. Student loan cancellation by executive order is now at the top of the news, and we have ourselves to thank for that. And I hope that you're, particularly those of you who have been with the group for any length of time, I hope that you are stoked at how far we have gotten in the past 2 years. That's a pretty cool thing. I had a couple other announcements as well, but I can't remember. Think about burning your student loan papers, making a video of it. It would be very cool, and it would be an easy thing you can do, and it will be cathartic for you emotionally, I think, and it will help. And it's a nice segue into our topic for this evening, which is student loans are going away. Let me say it one more time. Student loans are going away. Student loans are finished. They are toast. Federal student loans are not going to survive this pandemic, ladies and gentlemen. In fact, the pandemic was the nail in the coffin. It is not too late to start talking about federal student loans in the past tense, in my very well-studied view. And I'll spend the next few minutes sort of proving that to you. First of all, let's think of a couple different things that we can compare student loans to. Let's think about, let's think about subprime home mortgages, right? Those are terrible loans. That was a failed lending system. Maybe let's also think about other current loans being doled out by the government to the public these days, like, for example, PPP loans. How about those? Let's keep those in context as well. So, I think I mentioned if you have any questions or comments, you're watching us on Twitter or Facebook, feel free to throw them out, and I will be very happy to respond to them in situ. Hey, we already have some comments here. Edward McKinley, our fearless co-leader, is with us tonight. Ed would just like everyone to know that student loans suck. Yes, indeed, they do. Let me count the ways. Gordon is watching us with dial-up speed because he is poor, he says. Sorry about that, Gordon. Welcome to the club, buddy. So back to the fact that student loans are going away. The default rate for subprime home mortgages was 20%. That's 1 in 5. That was terrible. Remember what happened when all the subprimes went bad? Well, that was only 1 in 5 going into default. Ladies and gentlemen, I am here to tell you that for the class of 2004, the default rate for federal student loans is 2 out of 5. And that's not even the whole rate, by the way. That's only the 20-year rate. That's not the lifetime rate. 40%. And let's not forget, the people who went to college, left school in 2004, they were borrowing less than a third of what's being borrowed today. So if the default rate for 2004 students was 40%, what do you think it is for more recent students? Is it 50%, 60%? Yeah, I think it is. Is it 60%, 70%? Yep, that's probably... frankly, at this point, I would say the default rate for everyone, even before COVID, was going to be somewhere around 70, if not 75%. 3 out of 4. That's way more than 3 times higher than the subprime home mortgage default rate. That is an illegitimate lending system, guys. That's a lending system that kind of doesn't really even exist. I mean, what would you call it? That's kind of what I'd call that. So there's that. Now let's think about another fact. Before the pandemic, I happen to know, and if you went to our Medium station, our Medium platform, which I will bring up right here. Oh, by the way, get our cool hat. See our cool hat? Get the cool hat, the collector's item right there. Cool hat. But if you go to our Medium platform, you will see Department of Education data presented in such a way that you will quickly realize, as one of the headlines of one of the articles says, before the pandemic, nearly 60%, that's what, 3 out of 5. 3 out of 5 of all student loan borrowers were not paying on their loans. That's 60%, guys. 60%. That's a lot. That's most. And even if you count, the kids who are in school, it's still over 50%. It's like 50.5%. So, if, I don't know if I'm trying to think of an analogy, but if you have a lending system where more than half of the people aren't even paying at all, is that even a real lending system? I don't think so. Today, here, now, during the pandemic, almost nobody's paying. It's like 8%, something like that. So what's going on here? I think what's going on here, guys, is student loans are going away. That's what's happening. Student loans are going away. Notice how many times the Biden administration and the Trump administration kept extending that repayment pause. First, it was going to be 2 weeks. Then it was going to be through, I think, like July 1st. And then it was going to be through October 31st or something, or November 1st. And then it was going to be to February. And then it was going to be till July again. And then it was going to be, who knows? I can't even remember. There's so many times. There is never going to be a good time to turn this lending program back on. And look at what's happening right now, ladies and gentlemen. I think we're nosediving, like swan diving into what looks like a very nasty, nasty recession. Like I was barely sort of cognizant of things back in the 1970s, but I kind of remember stagflation, guys. I kind of remember that whole thing. I remember my mother and my father gritting their teeth because they really loved Jimmy Carter, but oh my goodness gracious, it was not pretty. And I think that's going to be with us for a while. I don't think it's going to be the transitory thing that we think. So there may very well never be a good time to turn this lending program back on. Student loans, federal student loans certainly are going away. So, I mean, frankly, that's a good thing, right? Like, we don't know how they're going to finally ultimately go away. Could have a good ending, could have a bad ending. I agree with that. The bad ending is they keep saying that you owe, it keeps hanging around your neck like an albatross for years or even decades. And maybe at some point they actually do try and turn back on the lending program. But I'm here to tell you guys, when and if they try and turn loans back on, two things are going to happen. A spike of people will start resuming payments, but that spike is not going to be any more than 25, maybe 30%. Maybe, I doubt it. Maybe a third of the people will repay. And that will be followed very quickly by a very sharp decline in repayers down to, I've been saying 20% for the longest time, the past 6 months or maybe even a year now. But at this point, guys, with what I see kind of in going forward with inflation and a tanking economy and who knows what else, I would be stunned if even 15% at this point of the borrowers ever actually resume paying and keep paying on their student loans. So what do you call it when 8 out of 10 or more of the borrowers of a lending system aren't paying? Like, it was an illegitimate lending system before, but now it's like way more even still are not paying, like almost nobody's paying. What do you call that? I call that a gone lending system. And for the life of me, I can't figure out what, and frankly, I know that the people in Washington, D.C., they also cannot figure out what to do. I can't figure out what they're going to do. They can't figure out what they're going to do because they have no clue. And I don't know if my grandpa told me this or just some old person or it just somehow got osmoted into my brain. But I kind of learned the lesson that when stuff is really not going well, things are really in a calamitous situation, the best thing to do is to be honest and very honestly assess your situation. And if the people in Washington, D.C. were being honest, because believe me, guys, they're looking at the very same data that I am looking at, and that quite frankly, you should be looking at, and you could be looking at if you went to our Medium platform. The lending system is toast. There's no good reason to even try and save it at this point. Are a few people, like 15% of the borrowers, going to be getting a super good deal out of the deal? Yeah, 15% probably. But about 85%, that's like nearly 9 in 10. They were never going to be able to repay their loans. It just was not ever going to happen. So is that really the worst thing in the world? And make no mistake, the federal government has made a fortune back on these loans. Of that 1.6 trillion in federal direct loans outstanding, 1.5. It's actually lower than that. It's probably 1.3 or so trillion, 1.35 trillion in direct federal student loans. These are the loans that can be canceled by executive order, by the way. The federal government has already gotten back most of that money, like most by a lot, maybe even all of that money. If you look at all the profit that they've made and even the money that they've made on defaulted student loans, which is a thing, which is true. The federal government has, believe it or not, been profiting on defaulted student loans since 2004, since way before Obama federalized the lending program. So we don't know exactly how much canceling these loans would cost the taxpayers, but does it really cost anything to rip up garbage paper that you were never going to get paid on in the first place? Is that really a cost? No, it's not a cost. Now, I mentioned PPP loans. Let's compare student loans to PPP loans, shall we? PPP loans, those suckers were actually very expensive to the taxpayer. Those required Congress to write a bill and money to be drawn from the Treasury, and all that same amount of money added to the national debt. Those PPP loans cost the taxpayers dearly. And by the way, 70%, 75% of those PPP loans went to the highest 20% earners. With student loans, the president can cancel these student loans tomorrow with nothing required from Congress, not even a bill, not one nickel drawn from the Treasury, not one penny added to the national debt. And oh, by the way, the vast majority of people who would benefit are in the bottom 80% income bracket. And so, some of the people in the highest 20% income bracket that would benefit, they are not wealthy people. Do they make more than 100 grand a year? Well, yeah, they do. But these are typically, at least in our group, they are by and large older people in their late 40s, 50s, 60s. So they're still working. And yeah, after all these years in their career, they finally make more than $100,000 a year. But we're talking about people like Vanjie. Vanjie borrowed $26,000. She's repaid $100,000. She still owes $132,000 on a $26,000 loan. Give me an effing break. Is Vanjie wealthy? No. Vanjie's not even barely able to scrape anything together for retirement yet, which is coming for her. She's like 59 or 58 years old. Is Vanjie wealthy? No. Can Vanjie afford to pay back $132,000 in addition to the 100 grand she already paid back on this $26,000 loan? No, she cannot afford that. And fuck you. Vanjie should be done. Those loans should have been written off years or decades ago. In fact, in my humble opinion, if Vanjie ever pays another dime on her federal student loans, she's not only unwise, but she's being unpatriotic, in my humble opinion. And that goes for everybody. This lending system is toast. It's finished. It's a dead man walking. It's a national freaking threat. And anybody who throws money into this lending beast ought to be ashamed of themselves. That's not patriotic. That's not good for the country. Not good for you. It's not good for the 45 million borrowers that don't deserve to have their lives wrecked by this wrecked, failed, zombified federal student loan program. Student loans are going away, guys. Maybe they'll never even restart the program again. I don't know. I can't tell. I don't have a crystal ball. What I can tell you is that this stuff does not happen in a vacuum. What we do matters. What we do here on this group really matters. We, as I said before, we would not have a bankruptcy bill to fight for, which lies at the core of everything, by the way. This is the most important policy point I'll make tonight. I make it every night, but I'm going to make it here again tonight. If you never listened to before, you better listen now. We are not going to see meaningful student loan cancellation from President Biden in the current politics unless and until we get the leverage, the threat of bankruptcy returned to us. Few people, maybe even no one, will ever even have to file. But we've got to get the threat of bankruptcy returned to us. And that is what S-2598 does. The bill is very well positioned right now. Dick Durbin, for goodness sake, is the chairman of the Judiciary Committee. He's also the Senate Majority Whip. He can count votes. And Senator Durbin went on the Senate floor last week and he said, he reiterated the argument for returning bankruptcy to student loans. And he said he expects to have more to say about that in the very near future. That's not a verbatim quote, but that's basically what he said. We need to fight for that bill, ladies and gentlemen. The swamp is still there. Our opposition is still there. If you haven't noticed, we got hit probably as bad as we've ever been hit today in the 17-year history of our organization. The bad guys seem to really like Mondays to pile on the snake swamp manufactured media, talking about how canceling student loans was going to benefit rich people. Canceling student loans is going to cause inflation. Canceling student loans is unfair to people who paid for school, or unfair to people who paid their loans off in the past. Oh, but PPP loans were super fair, right? We're seeing all these bots on Twitter say, hey, my mortgage identifies as a student loan. Will you cancel my loan? You stupid, you snowflakes. We're seeing that stuff all over the place today, guys. And by the way, quick retort for those assholes, those my mortgage identifies as a student loan crowd. Say, hey, my student loan identifies as a PPP loan. How about that, jackass? Put that in your pipe and smoke it. So I'm looking for your comment. And I'm going to keep it pretty short here tonight, guys. I'm going to keep it pithy and short, unless the comments really start raging. Oh, we have quite a few comments here. Gordon, you comment too much, buddy. You just do. I'm not going to read all your comments on air because I'm just not doing it. Hey, Terry Dodd's with us tonight. Hey, Terry, how are you? Terry Dodd says, these student loans are a massive pain in the ass. They were a pandemic before the pandemic. Oh, they were a pandemic before the pandemic hit. I will get that hat and shirt to further the word out. Get the word out. We need sweatpants to go with the hat and shirt. Oh, wow. Well, thank you, Terry. I appreciate that greatly. Get a hat. Get a hat. Where's it? Get a hat right there. Yeah, we have t-shirts too, believe it or not. This is something Lisa in Los Angeles is doing. I really appreciate all of that. And who knows, maybe they'll be a collector's item someday. Hey, Van, speaking of Vanjie, were your ears burning, Vanjie? Here she is. Vanjie says, LOL, not going to do it. I've paid enough. I'm canceling my own student loans. Well, frickin' a Skippy. Yippee. That's what I'm talking about, guys. And for those of you who are walking around being quiet and scared and with your tail hanging between your legs and you're afraid to even tell your significant others about your student loan debt, you need to throw off that fear and shame and nonsense. Because if you ever start paying on your loans again, you will be in the tiny, vanishing minority of student loan borrowers. Get over yourself. This is not a morality play on us. We didn't break this student loan system. This student loan system tried to break us. No fucking more. Pardon my French, but come on. You were not put on this earth to creep around with your tail in between your legs on account of a fake loan, cheesy rat trap lending scam devised by some evil, greedy people in Washington, D.C. to wreck the country, particularly southern states, I might add. I have to think that your calling was something higher than that. Do you disagree? Come on, people. Oh, yeah. The most important action item I have for you tonight, Guy, is go to our website, do our daily actions. You'll see it. Go to our website, studentloanjustice.org. Studentloanjustice.org. Do our daily action. If you're new to the group, we need you doing the daily action. As I said, this stuff does not happen in a vacuum. This is not a watch it happen. Oh, hey, would you get me some popcorn while you're up, Vanjie or Aaron type of proposition. Vanjie and Aaron are pulling their weight. You need to pull your weight. We're not pulling your weight for you. We're all distressed student loan borrowers, including myself, by the way. You got to put your own work in on this group. And you're not better than us, by the way. We have people from Harvard and Yale and Princeton on this group, in case you think they might be better than most people. I don't think they are. frankly, I can't stand the Ivy League. Those elitist pricks have been as complicit as anyone else in bringing us the student loan scam. But in case you're harboring that illusion, that's just more proof that you're not better than us. And you need to get your knuckles dirty right along with us. No excuses. We're tired of the excuses. Get a Twitter account. You need a Twitter account to be able to do our daily actions. Get a second Twitter account if that's what it takes. You know, we have people like Martha in New Jersey who suffers from ALS, which is a very serious disease if you didn't know. She can't talk. She can't walk. She's confined to a wheelchair. Martha does our daily actions. And by the way, Martha, if you're watching, Martha, we're giving you a free, we're sending you a hat because you freaking earned it. And we love you. And you are a huge inspiration for this group. So be like Martha. Step up, would you please? If you have never done nothing to fight this battle, be proud to be fighting this fight. It's cathartic. It feels good. The founding fathers are on our side. The freaking Constitution's on our side. 90% of the 45 million federal student loan borrowers out there are on our side, whether they even know about us or not. And they will never know about us until you tell them about us. Change.org/cancel student loans is probably the first thing you should tell them. And if you happen to get suspended on Twitter, let me just apologize in advance. That has been happening to some people. I know some people have been warned. Some people have been suspended. What I would say is mix up your most of the stuff that we do is retweets. So you can do it one day worth of our daily actions in probably 30 seconds. It's like retweet this, and this, and this. Just retweets. But I would counsel you all, I don't know if this works or not. I think it probably does. Don't only retweet stuff because the Twitter bots will get very suspicious, the algorithms. So mix your tweets in with some comments and some, I don't know, original tweets of your own, maybe some quote tweets. I don't know exactly. But don't look like a bot to the Twitter people and you won't get suspended, hopefully. So I love that. I love that though, Terry. They were a pandemic before the pandemic. That's right. I tried to tell Dana Perino on Fox News that at some point. She was like, well, shouldn't we be careful about canceling student loans because of inflation? And I was like, or no. She said, shouldn't we turn the loans back on because the pandemic is over? And, the whole reason that the loans were stopped in the first place was because of the pandemic. And I said, Dana, student loans were a train wreck, a disaster well before the pandemic. So I don't know. I didn't say exactly what you said, but I'm going to say that next time I get the chance, if I'm ever being interviewed here again soon, Terry. Pandemic before the pandemic. I love that. Vanjie very rightly points out what I said earlier. Senator Durbin talked about bankruptcy on the Senate floor. Oh, you're saying he talked about it again today. Good. I don't see all the news all the time, but apparently Vanjie's breaking some news for us. Apparently Senator Durbin talked about bankruptcy on the Senate floor again today. Good. That's our bill. That's our guy. Senator Durbin is our man. I'm thrilled to say that what started as a meeting with me and Tony Fiorentino and Senator Durbin in his office in Chicago, I think it was like around 3.5 years ago now, finally is paying off. And Senator Durbin is a good man. Senator Durbin is one of the few people in the Senate that I can say almost exclusively good things about. I can't say good things about almost any other senator, honestly. Like Bernie Sanders is up there. Senator Warren is kind of a fake, guys. But anyways, don't get me started. Senator Durbin is a good man, deserves your support. He's on our side. He's a quiet senator, which I frankly appreciate. Whether they return bankruptcy quietly or loudly makes not one iota of difference to me. Quite frankly, I think it makes more sense to just kind of slide it in there and pass it quietly. And we're seeing a bunch of Republicans come around, guys. This is a nonpartisan group. If you're a Republican or a Democrat, we don't care. We're glad that you're here. Very welcome here. Having said that, in years past, that Republicans have opposed us big time. And like, if you look at all the flurry of articles that got put out today about all these Republicans introducing a House bill to strip the president of the power to cancel student loans, just repeating the blatant lie that canceling student loans will benefit the wealthy. Those are pretty much all Republicans. So we're a nonpartisan group, but all the Republicans who are against us, they're not conservative. They're sellouts to the student loan swamp, and they're fighting for the worst big government, college enriching, red state wrecking loan scam in U.S. history, and they ought to be ashamed of themselves. And they are not conservatives. They're just not. So if you're a conservative, don't take my harsh words for guys in your party hard. Just see it for what it is. Like, what is conservative about fighting for the colleges and the worst big government lending scam ever foisted on the American people? There's nothing conservative about that. I had to call out a House rep in Wisconsin today, where I live in Wisconsin, and I did it gladly. And I told, I can't remember the guy's name now. He's a Wisconsin representative for District 7, Grothman, Glenn Grothman. I said, you're no conservative. You're doing everything that I just said. I said, you are a liability to the GOP. You are a liability to conservatism generally. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. And it felt good saying that because it's true. And you should, if you're a Republican, you should feel very good browbeating your Republicans in Congress who claim that loan cancellation benefits the wealthy. That's a lie. And we don't have great things to say about Elizabeth Warren and other leading Democrats either, by the way. Elizabeth Warren, don't get me started. She's really kind of a fake, guys. Her up to $50,000 loan cancellation, that was fake from the get-go. In many ways, she kind of poached our idea for loan cancellation by executive order, and she ruined it. She put these Washington, D.C. baby bumper guards or whatever, baby child-proof things on what started as a really good idea. This lending system has catastrophically failed. The best thing the president can do right now is be honest, getting back to honesty, be honest about this failed lending system. Student loans are going away, no matter what the president does or doesn't do. So they may as well just be honest about it, recognize it for the train wreck that it is, cancel not some, cancel all of the loans, and maybe the people will see fit to return them back and maintain their power through the midterm elections. And maybe Joe Biden might have a new lease on having any chance whatsoever at a second term as president. Because unless he does something like that, like as big as that, which is really not that big of a thing, guys. The lending system's done. It's toast. Any efficient CEO of any corporation that looked at a division where the revenue was just gone and nobody was buying their shit, pardon my French, he'd say, yeah, we got to cut this one loose. We got to cut this whole division loose. It's an anchor around our neck. Well, so too is the federal student loan program to the Democrats. I'm not kidding you guys. Joe Biden, if he or any president, frankly, the biggest mistake in President Trump's presidency was not canceling these loans when he had all the political cover that he needed to do it. I don't think he even knew enough at the time to know how bad the student loan thing was. But whatever. That's the reason President Trump lost that election, by the way. And it's the reason that the Democrats and Joe Biden are going to be eviscerated in November if they try and foist some bullshit up to $10,000, up to $50,000 loan cancellation on us. We're not buying that shit. Pardon my French. Give me a break. So, Vanjie, I'm glad to hear that Senator Durbin talked about bankruptcy. I'm going to repeat the most important thing that I've said tonight one more time, just so you remember it. Bankruptcy lies at the core of this whole thing, guys. Don't believe all the nonsense you see about, oh, is Biden going to cancel 10,000? Is he going to cancel up to 50,000? No, he wouldn't be that nice, would he? Up to $50,000 is a joke, ladies and gentlemen. Up to are weasel words. And that will be bureaucratized into bullshit nonsense. Pardon my French for the third time tonight. Up to 50,000 is as big of a joke as $10,000. It's stupid. It's meaningless. Unless and until we get the threat, the leverage of bankruptcy back on our side, and we get S2598 passed as written, which will happen when you start doing the daily actions, studentloanjustice.org/daily-action.html. Go to the website. You'll see it at the top. The only loan cancellation we're going to see from Biden is going to be fake until we get bankruptcy back. That is just, nobody wants to file for bankruptcy. Very few people will even have, maybe nobody will have to file when we get the right return. But we've got to get the threat of bankruptcy back. That's the one most important thing we've learned over 17 years of being tricked and tricked and tricked again by fake Washington, D.C. fakes who would love nothing more than to play the very same trick that they played on us back in 2007, back in 2012, and that they're trying to play again, which is to foist a fake, pleasant-sounding loan cancellation gimmick, maybe a brand new income-driven repayment program. What fucking acronym are they going to make up for it this time? How about DOOM, DOOM? Pay as you earn, IBR, PSLF. Yeah, we're not buying it, guys. The bad guys want to foist another fake loan cancellation on us as a cheap substitute for the bankruptcy protections that the founding fathers enshrined in the Constitution. The founding fathers called for uniform bankruptcy laws ahead of the power to declare war, ahead of the power to raise an army, ahead of the power to build a navy, ahead of the power to build a post office in the Constitution. But I think those first three are a little more important than the post office, right? Lies at the bankruptcy thing lies at the core of this issue. That is the path through which we are going to finally see justice for this lending fiasco. So student loans are going away, ladies and gentlemen. Of that, there should be no doubt. But whether we get a good, clean, quick death that helps everyone, or whether we get languishing, painful, civilly unrestful, probably unwinding, that remains to be seen. And that depends on you, and that depends on me, and that depends on a lot of other people with student loans, whether they fight or not. So hey, Leslie Fishman. Hey, Leslie, how are you? Leslie is with us tonight. I posted Leslie's story online, by the way. You know, I've been posting our borrower stories on the internet, on Twitter, Facebook, etc. lately. And a radio show called me the other day, and they were like, okay, number one, I just don't believe these numbers. And so they had me on Friday night, the Rick Smith show. And they were like, how on earth does somebody borrow $10,000, repay $20,000, and now owe over $100,000? Are you lying? Is that a typo? No. Those people are willing to be interviewed. Those are real numbers, ladies and gentlemen. But anyway, Leslie says, buy your hats and t-shirts, people. Spread the love to get the truth out. Do it. It shows how distressed we are. Oh, yeah, by the way, these t-shirts are ripped and torn out of the box. They're purposely distressed. So I think that's very, very apropos. And maybe I should say, if you don't want to do the hat, please at least donate, guys. Studentloanjustice.org/donate would be helpful, particularly at this current time. Things are really tight. We've got I don't want to put our money troubles on you too badly, but we have to raise, I think, $680 between now and next week. So that for us is a lot. So please donate if you can. Van Gianru says, on some days I identify as conservative. Yeah, you know, this group, I don't even care. I don't even think about Democratic versus Republican. It means nothing to me anymore. I'm registered a Democrat, but it's meaningless. The next time I register to vote, it will be as an independent, as a very fierce and strong independent. Glenn Grothman, yeah, that's right, exactly, Wisconsin. Thank you, Gordon. So okay, guys, I'm going to leave it there at that tonight. But I hope you're stoked. I hope that you're finally starting to pick up what we're laying down here, guys. This is truly a make it happen movement. We are all accidental activists. You can't sit there and wait and watch and worry with your tail between your freaking legs. You can't do that. You need to turn over a new leaf because we need you. And this student loan thing is the camel's nose under the tent, guys. This is the coal road to national tyranny, despotism, debt enslavement. You know what John Adams said? There are two ways to conquer and enslave a country. One is by the sword, the other is by debt. And we are looking down the barrel of that gun, ladies and gentlemen. If they can do to other loans what they did to student loans, and they can, if we let them, they will. And this will be a indentured slave contributory state or something in a matter of decades, maybe even less. So we don't want that. We're fighting a very just cause, and we need you. So please don't forget that. All right, guys, I'm out. I'll be back on Wednesday. Ed, our very fearless co-leader, will be with you tomorrow. In the meantime, what do you think I'm going to say? Do our daily actions. StudentLoanJustice.org. Do our daily actions. Good luck. See you on Wednesday. Godspeed. God bless everyone. And hang in there. We got this. We got this, guys.